Welcome to Very TV Live. This is Queer Conversations. I'm your host, G, and my guests today are this amazing, inspiring couple, lesbian couple. Also, my dear friends, Jane and Trish. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining me today.
Our pleasure.
And if you live in South Florida and you go to any LGBTQ events, you're likely to, at some point, see this couple. So we can start a little bit with, where did you meet or when did you meet?
Well, we met in Chicago in 1974.
Wow, 1974.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know that somebody said it was love at first sight.
I fell in love at first sight.
Okay.
She
good.
did not.
And so how long did it take for you to feel like?
Well, let's just say we moved in after about 3 months.
Wow. Okay. So that you did well.
It
Trish,
didn't take too long.
Trish, you did really well.
Yeah.
Great. So you met.
I'm the more cautious one.
Okay. Yeah.
To this day.
Well, still. Wow. So 3 months, and that's over 40 years ago now.
43 years.
43. So at some point, and thanks for joining us, everybody who's joining us. At some point, we're going to talk before the end of the conversation. We're going to ask you to share some tips.
Okay.
How do you stay together for 43 years
Sure.
and be happy? You know, that's one of the key things, after being happy, right? Right? So we definitely want to hear about some details. If anybody has questions, hello, thanks for joining. Anybody has questions, please put them here. And so in addition to being this couple that has been so, you're really inspiration for us, but you also have done a lot of advocacy in the community. So we can talk a little bit about the kind of work you've been doing. I know that when I first met you, I met you through your work with WIN.
Mm-hmm. Women in Network. Yeah.
Which is Women in Network, which is an organization here in South Florida. So maybe share a little bit about what's WIN and how did you get involved?
Well, did you want to go back to the beginning a little bit or not? Did you wanted to talk about?
Sure.
We met actually doing lesbian and feminist art.
Okay, nice. Yes.
So we met in a political arena.
Really nice. And this is back in
Producing
the 70s.
posters.
Yeah.
For lesbians, for other feminist issues.
Yeah.
And you want
So
to
our
talk
advocacy
about
goes back to when we
the
met.
beginning.
You know?
From the
And
very
she was
beginning.
very involved in the lesbian feminist music
Yeah.
industry at that time.
And this is in Chicago?
In Chicago,
Okay,
yeah,
nice.
the women's music, I don't know if you call it a movement or, genre, whatever, was just starting up, and I was very involved in that. Played
Nice.
with a lot of the women's music people who came through Chicago, and I did a women's radio show. So,
Nice.
yeah.
We've talked about, I did college radio. I was on the radio as well.
And I did too.
Yeah, we both did radio.
Yeah.
So, and funny enough, we talked about it a little bit. Today's Bob Marley's birthday.
Yes, we did.
That's
right.
right.
But
That's
acknowledge
right.
that. And I
right.
know you both are very big reggae fans.
Yeah,
right.
very big.
And
Yes.
back in the probably 80s, would have gone to Reggae Sunsplash.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we did. We
And-
probably crossed paths.
Yeah, it's so funny because I won't go too much into the details, but at some point I snuck off to Reggae Sunsplash as a teenager and got into massive trouble.
In Jamaica.
In Jamaica. This is Montego Bay, Jamaica. I lived in Kingston, the other side of the island. So that was a big deal. But I'm so glad that even though I got in all this trouble, that I had that great experience. So yeah, we could have been there at the same time.
Yeah.
And something that I probably shouldn't be that proud about is when we see you guys dance, you see me dance, you guys dance better. So,
Okay. So I don't know if I agree.
Well, we have had more practice.
okay, that's a good point. They've had a lot more practice, but I know that, you guys have a good rhythm. People are like, hold on a second. Where is this couple who could dance? So you got some real good rhythm there.
Well,
Yeah.
when we got together, we were both, into dancing. And
Okay, nice.
we danced a lot when we were courting or whatever.
Okay, nice.
One of the few things that my mother told me about who to marry is be sure to marry someone who likes to dance.
Nice. And you did that.
I did.
Yes. Yes. So that's wonderful. And you said married. So I know that when you were together back then, you couldn't get married, right? So,
Right. We had no idea that it would ever be a possibility.
wow.
Yeah. In fact, in the lesbian feminist movement back then, monogamy was frowned upon because it was a patriarchal construct.
Okay.
So we were actively non-monogamous
Okay, great.
at the beginning.
Okay.
Not real actively, but
Not real actively.
How actively? No.
The
I didn't even know that.
agreement we had was that, so because we're being non-monogamous, you could sleep with someone else. But if the other one asks, wants to know, then you need to tell her.
Okay, so it's like when people say today, like polyamorous or an open relationship.
Yeah.
Which people have.
It's all about what the agreement is.
Right, so what makes you happy and what makes the relationship thrive. Right, so that's really interesting. So you were first like in an open relationship that at some point became
because it was politically correct.
That was
at
right
the time.
at the time.
And that's how we defined it.
Okay.
And she slept with one woman, and I didn't sleep with anyone else.
Okay.
So that was the definition. That was popular at that time.
This was decades ago.
Decades ago, yeah. But that's fine. It's so funny because everybody I've sat with, I've been doing this series consistently just since the first week of January, and I've sat with people I've known, and every time I learn something new about my friends I did not know. So that's right. Yeah, it's wonderful. So you were a couple at some point where I know you couldn't even be open meeting in society. People didn't know that you were a lesbian couple.
Yeah, well, it sort of went through phases because when we first got together, we were pretty out. And then when, Trish became a chiropractor and we had a chiropractic practice, we sort of went back in.
Okay.
We were not out in the practice.
Well, I would do speaking engagements to gay groups, and so that would attract some gay patients. So we were out to some of the patients, and I think that some of the rest of them figured it out.
Right, and you were working in the office.
She was the office manager, so
yeah. But it was very interesting because we found that people who were open to gay people and liked us would kind of figure it out.
Okay, yeah.
And then the people who weren't open to it but liked us would never even think that of us.
Okay,
So it was very interesting.
Yeah, that's kind of like this odd dynamic, which I experienced as well. So I think everybody at some point had somewhere there. Some people know you're gay, some people don't know, and so on.
Yeah, it was a mixture.
And then, so you said it, and it's interesting. So I'm more late to the party because by the time I came openly gay, people were like fighting for marriage equality. Some people, some states you could actually get married. So, but for you, you didn't even think that was going to be in your future.
Some people would have commitment ceremonies.
Right.
We never did that.
We didn't think it was worth it since it wasn't legal.
Right. Right. And at some point, you do get legally married.
We did.
We did actually,
about 2 years ago.
Okay. So you're in some weird way, you're a newlywed.
It's kind of funny.
In March, we'll be actually legally married for
2 years.
2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
Wow. Right. Yeah, but in the relationship, 43 years, and that's what really counts at 43 years. The actual legal part. Of course, you kind of say, how long have you been together? 2 years. Oh yeah, no, we need to count all of that. It's incredible. Right. So, let me see if there are any questions. Daniela is saying here, I like the chemistry. Yeah, she likes the chemistry between you two. Right, you have to have great chemistry, right? Yeah. And then, David, he likes the concept of non-monogamous. So. Yeah. Do you really, sir? I don't know.
Not anymore. It's not like that.
Yeah, not anymore. So that's. Do you want to share some tips, or you want to wait a little later before we share the tips?
We wanted to talk about women and
okay. So talk a little bit. What's
WIN? We moved to South Florida in 2009.
Okay.
We would visit when we traveled in the motorhome. We skipped that part.
We didn't talk about that.
But anyhow. So in 2009, we moved to South Florida, and we did start getting involved with local groups. Jane first got involved with Arts United on the board.
Okay.
Yeah, which is an LGBT arts organization here.
Nice.
Mostly Broward County, but also Palm Beach and Miami-Dade County. And so I was on the board, and we got more into doing our art.
Nice.
And then, but we joined Women in Network right away, and that's how we got to meet a lot of the women that we know in the area and got our social network.
Great organization.
So, and then got recruited for the board.
Nice.
So
we were on the board for quite a number of years.
6 years. Okay.
So
and still remaining involved, right?
Still involved. We have stepped down from the board of Women in Network, but we're still on the advisory committee. Okay,
great. I know that Women in Network is part of the planning or the planning of Black women rights? Like, what's the role for women?
Well, not part of the planning, but we sponsor it.
Okay, so sponsorship.
In fact, tomorrow night everyone's invited
Okay.
Our First Wednesday event tomorrow night is a Black Women Rise Conference preview. That's going to be at the Pride Center in Fort Lauderdale.
Okay, great. And Nikki, you have the link. She can put the link in.
Tomorrow night, and a lot of the presenters from the conference will be there and talk about what's going to happen. We were at the conference last year. It's phenomenal, and we would recommend anybody who can go to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to miss it last year, but I'm going this year.
Yeah.
I had heard great things about it. Really nice, different workshops. Some things that you
Oh,
don't
yeah.
really see all the time. So Nikki put the link there. Thank you.
And an amazing concert Saturday night.
Okay, so concert too. So workshops, performances. I saw May Rain is going to be performing.
May
Rain.
Rebecca Hill, who's just a phenomenal drummer. She does a workshop, so she'll have a drum solo orchestra. The people who are in the workshop will then drum part of her performance.
Okay, great. And Jane is a drummer too.
Jane will be her.
You're going to do some drumming
Yeah,
as well?
I did last year, so I played with Rebecca a bunch of times.
So some people have seen Jane at the event Very GCV produces Thou Art Woman, for people who don't know. Jane has, I think, I'm going to say kind of surprised the audience. Some people know now that we're going to see this, but I think when people see, they don't know, like, you're going to do this beautiful, like, what do you call it, African drumming?
Yeah.
Yeah, African drumming.
That. Although some people, after they hear me play, they think I'm Cuban.
Yes, I remember someone at the one in November 2016, someone shouted out, "She's Cuban." And I said, "No, she's Jewish from New Jersey." They're like, "Oh, not Cuban, no." So yes,
it's just in my soul.
Yeah, that's beautiful that you have that. So you can dance the reggae and you can play the drums. So that's really good. And I want to thank you both for your support of Our Woman, because it's been great for you to come
it's such
and
a
share.
It's such a great thing.
Thank you so much.
We enjoy it.
Yes, thank you. So we have the next one is going to be March 10th at Art Serve. So I don't know if we're going to we'll see. I know sometimes you go with how you feel if we're going to get another performance.
Well, actually, Ari Safari was interested in having me drum to one of her spoken word pieces. So
I love
we might
this.
get together and do that.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
I would love to.
I
do
hope that
I love
works.
her.
Yes. So shout out to Ari Safari. She's a spoken word artist. She'll be performing at Our Woman on March 10th for sure. And I'd love to see that. Everybody would love to see that. It's great.
She works well with spoken word.
Oh,
yeah.
that is
so
wonderful.
That'll be nice, I'm sure.
Yes. So I know that you missed some part of your stories. We could be here for 4 hours. We have 30 minutes. But one of the things that struck me when I first met you both, I had seen you in the community, but we sat down together maybe 2 years ago and we started to get to know each other. And this concept of you have an RV and you went on a ride for maybe 6 months. And then 10 years later. But wasn't that initially you felt it was going to be 6 months, right?
That's true. We thought we would take the motorhome, drive around, try to find a place on the beach to live, and we figured it would take 6 to 12 months to do that. But what ended up happening was we were having such a great time, and then everybody said, well, you really should go to Alaska, and you should go here, and you should go there, and so 10 years just flew by.
Wow.
I got it.
Whoops. That's okay.
I just knocked over my water.
That's okay, water, yes. So no more drinks for you, but that's just water. But yeah, so 10 years later.
10 years later, we finally found a place on the beach here in
Fort
Fort
Lauderdale.
Lauderdale.
It's a beautiful place, and they have on the balcony where they see the ocean right there. It's really lovely.
Yeah.
So 10 years in an RV going town to town. It sounds like a film.
It was great.
Everybody said we should write a book, but I don't know. We never. We used to send newsletters out.
Back before the internet, yes, we would send out snail mail newsletters.
Snail mail.
Yeah, like when you saw, like updating, like how you do Facebook, like you just put it up your Facebook post. You did an email,
right?
A letter.
We would handwrite it because we didn't have even a typewriter at the time, and then we would put them in envelopes and stamps.
Wow, look at that. That's lovely.
Wow. Nice
do you have
any
of those?
now?
Do you have any of those?
We have copies, I hope.
Somewhere, yeah. We have to look.
Yeah, that would be great.
We had a couple journals. We started, and then the postings got further and further apart.
Yeah, because even if you don't literally share everything, you can do something where you compile some of those stories, of what you were telling people what you're doing.
Yeah. And we met so many people.
I can imagine.
All over. We made friends all over the place.
Yeah, that was a really nice thing about it.
And you still, once in a while, you still travel a couple months a year. You go and go in the RV.
Right.
And go to like festivals and so on.
We do some festivals.
We like to get away in hurricane season, August, September, so we'd go north.
Mhm.
Not always real far, sometimes just to Asheville, North Carolina, which we like a
Nice.
lot. But all the way up to New Jersey or Chicago sometimes too.
Visit our families.
Visit our
When we
families.
have a wedding or some other event.
Right,
Nice.
we had a wedding in Chicago last September and
Mhm.
the year before in New Jersey, so.
Nice,
we do
nice.
that.
That's I would like to do even if I could do the 6 months, that would
Mhm.
be. But so much of us, I mean, I think times have changed. Or to think of traveling for 10 years, I mean, everybody's so busy now.
Yeah.
Our lives are so busy.
Well,
but
with the internet now, a lot of people can work on the
remotely,
road, too.
right? Yeah, I
It's-
would love to do that.
It's easier now,
No,
yes,
than when
to
you
work
did it.
when you're traveling. We were retired.
You're already retired,
So,
that
we weren't working. We had
Right.
accumulated enough money that we could live off our
that's
savings.
wonderful.
So, but now it's much easier to work,
Yeah,
From
Uh-huh.
anywhere.
yeah.
So.
So yeah, that's inspiring. Maybe if I could even do a month, I would be excited to do the month. I keep going, Laura, but yes.
Well, and also when we were traveling, we like to give back and be involved in the community. And
Mhm.
that was difficult to do on the road, but we did manage to volunteer with Habitat for Humanity.
Okay, nice.
They have a group called the Caravanners, which is RVers who
Okay.
go and volunteer to work on builds.
Okay, nice.
So we did.
So you did some of that?
We
Nice.
did some of that, and we did right after Hurricane Katrina. We were able to go to New Orleans
Oh,
and
nice.
help with the rebuilding. And then after Wilma, we were actually down in the Keys
Yeah.
here,
Okay.
helping down there, and they said we did a lot more than FEMA did.
Wow.
To so.
That's
So the
amazing.
RVers get in there, and do stuff.
Wow. I love that. I love everything that you're
Yeah.
doing. So inspiring. So let me just
We
greet
do
people.
have a question.
Okay, what's
Okay.
the question?
Daniela says, what advice would you give a lesbian couple where one had lived with a man before and has children?
I don't see any problem with that unless the other one doesn't want to be involved with the children.
Like, what's the issue? I guess. Like, what's the concern?
Where do the children? Who did the children live with, and that kind of stuff? I mean, it sort of depends, I guess.
Yeah, well, I do see sometimes in groups people like, oh, I won't date somebody with kids or whatever. So she didn't expound; she just left that.
So let's see if you could.
Okay.
Who's that? Who asked the question?
Daniela.
So if you could elaborate a little more, like, is there a particular issue? Is there a problem that you'd like to help resolving? You can ask Jane and Trish. They have all the answers.
We don't have children, but we kind of wish we had. But,
We never had children, that's true,
It
but
was sort of like, well, you get pregnant. No, you.
I think that was
Wow.
part of the problem,
Wow.
but, yeah. So if you come into the relationship when somebody already has children, you're luckier in a way. Or you marry someone and then that who has children, and that way you can get grandchildren.
Okay,
Which would be nice.
So that's a good point. Like, they're not seeing a problem; they're seeing something that could be an advantage, because if the person has been married and has kids, and that person doesn't have to worry about making their own kids. They have like a ready-made
Yeah.
family.
Yeah.
So it could be great.
It could be nice.
It could be nice.
It depends on the individual.
If there's an issue with the
really.
children, then that's a problem.
There could be some issues
Yeah.
to work out, like any other issues in a
Right.
relationship. That's
Which
one
sort
the
of brings up one of the things about compromise. And, it's a very big thing
Of
in
course, yeah.
maintaining a relationship is to work together to make a solution that's going to work for both
Both
of
people
you.
to compromise.
And, sometimes it can be a difficult thing and it requires a lot of communication and commitment to the relationship. You have to want the relationship more than you want your own way if it's going to work.
Right. So good advice here. So for everybody joining us now, this is Verity TV. This is a show called Queer Conversations, where we are highlighting LGBT life. We have Jane and Trish, a couple together for 43 years, plus, and also also advocating in so many ways in our community through the arts, through political process, many different ways. If you have any questions, ask your questions. We ask you to share this video with people you think would find it helpful. Thank you for your question. Any more? Nikki will tell. Let me thank Nikki Lopez, creative here, who's helping us with producing this live. Yes, and we spend a lot of time, me and Nikki, with Jane and Trish, and we have some good times hanging out and talking and chit chatting and getting advice too, right? Yeah.
See?
So I know we have just a few more. How much time we have? A few more minutes. 10 minutes. Okay. So I like to like get a little bit into some of the tips you feel for like as much as you want to share, because some of it's going to be private to you, but you already shared some stuff that's very public. So that could be very private. But which I love, which is great. I think it's very helpful when we share ourselves. It's like it helps other people feel, that they're not the only person who thinks that way and feels that way. So, I would imagine in 43 years you've had fights, you've had arguments, you've had challenges, and what is it that makes you sit here together as a couple? What are some of the things that you could share? And also not just getting over obstacles, like what are some things that makes your relationship like maybe stay fresh and successful in different ways. So either one of you want to share a little bit with us.
Do you want to start?
Should we talk about the great compromise when I decided to go to chiropractic college? Because that was a big deal.
Okay.
Sure. We had actually, again, back in the 70s when we got together, there was this back to the land movement. And we had actually bought 40 acres in Arkansas.
Wow.
And we were intending to move out of Chicago and get away from the city and all of the structure and do that. But then, well, there wasn't really a way to make a living in Arkansas and the backwoods in those days. And so I got a little hesitant, I guess. And then I discovered chiropractic and thought, well, okay, if I become a chiropractor, then I would have the skill that I could take there.
Okay.
But becoming a chiropractor, first of all, involves staying in Chicago longer.
Okay.
Like at least 4 or 5 years more, because that's what it took
to study and
school.
Exams and so on.
Mm-hmm. And how are we going to pay for this? And all of this. So the great compromise here that we actually worked out was we bought a house.
Okay.
It had 3 apartments, so we would have 1 to live in and 2 to rent out. So we'd have rental income.
I love it.
It came with a garage, so we could garage our cars because in Chicago there's snow in the winter and lots of it.
The agreement was that I would put her through school. Now I was driving for a living, so I needed a garage because with the winters, if I couldn't drive, I couldn't make any money.
Okay.
So there were all these little details to work out. So that's why we bought the house, so we could have a garage, so we could have a garden, in the city,
and the other part was then after I became, a successful doctor, I would support her for an equal amount of time.
Oh, wow, this is great.
As she was supporting me while I was going through school.
Okay.
So
there were many discussions.
There were a lot of things that we had to work out to make this happen. And so it's just an example of, working out a major thing.
That was major. Yes.
And then on a day-to-day basis, there's little stuff. Nowadays, at our age, we're like, oh, honey, I don't think you should lift that because she has some trouble with her back. And if she lifts stuff, and I have trouble with my feet. So she goes, oh, honey, I'll walk over there and you don't have to. So those are the kind of things, little day-to-day things.
We were lucky because we had a lot of similar interests when we got together. Because some people grow apart, but we were together because we like to do the same things, and so there's less compromise if you want to do the same thing anyway.
Like someone said,
compatible.
See your chemistry and so on. So so is it like sometimes you don't have to say anything because you can do like ESP, what the other person's thinking.
We read each other.
You read each other. I can imagine.
So one will say something. I was just going to say.
Right. Like you get up to get the food and they're like, oh, I was just going to ask you to get the food. Or,
Yeah,
exactly.
Or you're out and you're like, I'm ready to go. The person's like, you don't have to say it, but you're like, Yes.
Or sometimes one is ready to go and the other isn't, and there's another compromise.
Staying longer.
Let's hear what the next song is, and if we want to dance to it, we'll dance. We have to say dance or go.
Okay.
If the next song isn't good, we're going to go.
Which one is more likely to want to stay longer? Jade or Trish?
I don't know.
Or is it depends?
It depends. It really depends. Yeah.
Okay. In my relationship, I'm definitely the one who's going to want to go home. Yes. I'm enjoying myself all the time, but I'm just, Nikki, isn't that true? I'm most likely, I'm going to be like.
You invited me to a baby shower at a church.
Okay, so the baby shower, but it doesn't mean, okay, so she's teasing me. So I'm more thinking about evening events. Whoa, hold on. So evening events. If it's late, if it's after like 9, 10 o'clock, then I'm gonna be ready to wind down. But if it's something,
Well,
6,
you're a
7,
morning person.
yeah, I'm waking up the crack of dawn,
Uh-huh.
5 o'clock. So like 9, 10 in the night, I'm like ready. Nikki's ready for like midnight, 1, 2. But yeah, she's right. I've done stuff like taking her to baby shower, in not baby shower, baby christening in a church. For my dear friend, especially if she's watching, she's like, we don't want to make fun of your christening of your baby, you know. But and I remember my phone, like I had this, I used to dress more feminine, so I still have some of those clothes. So I had like a little cardigan that's very girly for Nikki to wear, and she was like, "Oh, is that like your grandmother's?" I'm like, "No, that's mine. That was mine." So, and speaking of wardrobe, let me thank you both for the bow tie.
Oh, sure.
I my first parade for what was it? Was it for Wilton Manor
It was,
Pride? Wilton
yeah,
Manor Pride.
Stonewall Pride.
Right,
in
Stonewall-
Wilton Manors.
Right, Stonewall Pride, just 2017 last year, and I'm with HRC Human Rights Campaign marching. And I just heard G, and I looked back and it was like, oh, you get
Wait.
Yes,
We
I
have
think-
something for you.
Yes, thank you so much.
That
for
is actually from the Target Pride section.
okay, nice.
They have a whole Pride section there now.
Okay, I don't know if
It's
I've
pretty
seen.
cool.
I don't know if I've seen that.
Pride is this weekend. So.
Well, yes, yeah, so
That's
we're gonna have Fort
right.
Lauderdale
That's
Pride
right.
this
That's
weekend.
right, yeah.
So
Yeah. And I know you had sent us, Nikki. Can you put the pictures? Because we have these pictures of Jane and Trish. So just like entertain everybody.
It could be
and
entertaining.
yeah, to see. Do you have? Can you? I put it. I sent it to you WhatsApp. Also, hey, thanks to everyone for joining. Gail is saying congrats. You guys are amazing.
Hi, Gail. Thanks.
Yes, yes, they're amazing. And we want to show you before we say goodbye. See, if Nikki, are you going to be able to share the pictures? So Jane and Trish shared these pictures. If not, it's in your phone. You can just let me the phone. I'll show because when I saw it, I was like, wow. When are those pictures
We were
from?
babes.
we were babies.
That's
we
like
were in our
80s.
20s.
No, like 1978
70s.
or 79, something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
We were still in our 20s then. Yeah.
Time has probably went by pretty quickly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. How?
We,
Go ahead.
I'm looking back for the same thing.
yeah, we feel like we've been through several lifetimes together already.
Yeah. What do you think about now today where people have all the like the acronyms are like LGBTQ compared to like back in the day maybe it was like everybody was either gay or lesbian. Now it's like, all these different categories. What do you feel about the categories?
Well, depends if you want to be labeled.
Okay,
As I say.
yeah.
I mean, like back in the lesbian feminist thing, it was reclaiming the word dyke.
Okay,
Because,
dyke,
it
yeah.
was an insult, but, wanted
Right.
to reclaim it. And so, even
Like-
back then there were things like that going
Right.
on.
And like people say queer now, queer used to be an insult.
Queer was an insult.
Yeah, and I still have people asking me like, "Isn't queer a bad word? Isn't that how is queer part of this?" I'm like, "Well, it's changed. The word has been reclaimed,
Mhm.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm not pulling up the pictures on the Google Doc.
Okay, so I will send it to you via WhatsApp, so you
Oh,
can
yes.
let me your phone for a moment.
Wow.
I think she just found it.
Get ready, everybody. Let's see. Okay, so I'm just going to show you. Okay, so this is Jane and Trish in the 1970s. Can everybody see there?
See that?
Oh,
Wow.
beautiful. Yeah, they can see. Beautiful. Yes, Jane. I think your hair is this darker, but it's like still very thick, curly hair.
Yeah.
Right? Great hair.
Yeah, it's just
She had very dark brown
Dark
hair.
hair.
different
Yeah.
shade.
Is that something there? Beautiful. Thanks for sharing this. And this also I had not seen until I said, hey, come and do live. I haven't seen this picture.
Uh-huh.
So I think Trish looks very different. Right? Or I don't know, to you?
No,
Yeah.
different
That's
than
what I look like.
Yeah. What do you think, Nikki? Here we go.
Did you see the other one?
There's another one here. Hold
Yeah.
on. Oh, I love this too. Look at this. Here's Jane and Trish, now together 43 years. This is them in the 1970s.
Yeah.
Yes. Here you go. Thanks, Nikki. Thanks for helping us out. And thanks for sharing the pictures. So,
I wanted to say something else in speaking about the LGBTQ and stuff. Lesbians,
Yes.
people today may not know this, but lesbians are the one who came up with the term politically correct.
oh, no, I didn't know that.
That was a big deal in the 70s. If some lesbian called you as another lesbian politically incorrect,
It was a big
you-
deal.
Oh, it
Oh,
was,
no.
don't do anything that's politically
Incorrect. Wow. And so,
Yes.
yeah, no, I think that, that's even a larger now, right? That people are more concerned with the right terminology to say about many different groups and so on.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, especially with the trans community now,
Yes.
you know, people are choosing their own pronouns.
Right.
As opposed to just accepting the pronoun that
Mhm.
was assigned to
Right.
them at birth.
Yes.
Mhm.
And how are you both with pronouns? What do you feel?
We're both she's.
She's, yeah. And for me, I'm also she, but I get a lot of he and I feel fine.
Mhm.
You know, someone who looks at me could be offended, but I feel comfortable
Mhm.
with it, you know.
Mhm.
I do have sometimes where it's like I'm going to the women's bathroom and it's like, this is a women's bathroom. I'm like, I'm a woman, you know, some of that. But yeah, in terms of pronouns. So,
Yeah, well, the whole, you know, the gender fluidity is,
Today
it's amazing now. We didn't have all that
yeah.
back in the day.
Right,
you
yeah.
know.
A lot of people who probably dressed and did things they didn't want to do, which we still have now today. Nikki, here. We still,
Well, it was politically incorrect to be butch and femme when we got together
Well, in the lesbian feminist community.
in the lesbian feminist
do you
community.
We were, well, you know, we dressed more androgynous. You know,
Okay.
there's the jokes about the flannel shirts and the jeans
Okay.
and the Birkenstocks. That was sort of the uniform.
Okay.
Of the
So
lesbian
me
feminist.
dressing like as masculine as this, someone would be like, that's too much.
That would be politically
Well,
incorrect.
it would be considered butch.
Okay, and you shouldn't be butch.
Well,
It was
Well,
like,
the butch and femme again was a patriarchal construct. The
Right.
roles, you know, so there was that whole thing
That-
going.
you know,
Okay.
We've come back full circle.
okay.
yeah, before the 70s, before lesbian feminism, most lesbians were either butch or femme.
Okay.
But then when the feminist part came in, then it became politically incorrect
To be butch or femme.
to be butch or femme. You should be sort of androgynous.
Okay. Because it was like falling like this. They said heteronormative, like you're trying to be a man, you're trying to like, who's a
Yes.
man, who's a woman?
Pretend.
Yeah.
When,
so it's like
when
that
she
kind
first came out to her mother, didn't she say that? So isn't one of you the man?
Which one of you
Which
is
one-
like the man?
Are
Yeah.
you, so which
Yeah.
one are you?
Oh
Well,
no.
I mean, what did she know?
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's fair enough. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think it's a big thing where people sometimes have to gain an understanding. You know, it's
Mhm.
like a lot of people who are, you don't talk about it, but you know, have to learn and figure out like you're saying for your mom. And I had that too, where it's like, so trying to just gain an understanding. It doesn't mean I don't support you, but to support you, I need to have a better understanding of what you are and who you
Well,
are.
I think,
Yeah.
you know, parents have a coming out process of their
Of
own to go
course.
through, and P Flag is really good for that. My
Mhm.
parents actually went to some P Flag meetings way back
Okay.
then, which was nice.
Yes.
And I had the feeling when I first met her
Oh,
father
yeah, tell them.
that he came up and shook my hand, and I just felt like he was thinking, pretend she's a man.
Oh my
Because he didn't know
God.
As
how to
if Jane
relate
had
to
brought
her.
home a man, treat her, you
Just
know,
like
with
a
the
man.
same,
Oh,
you
no.
know, respect or whatever. You know, it was a positive thing
Okay, so good.
on his part.
So would you say for both of you, your families were supportive of you when you came out?
Yeah.
Okay, and this is in the 70s.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
that's it's a blessing
Well,
anytime, but blessing.
You know, yeah, they both said, you know, well, we love you.
Mhm.
We'll always love you. And,
Great.
You know, I mean, we had our ups and downs, but
Mhm.
everybody does.
Right.
And things to work out.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
So that's
you
that's wonderful that you have the support because that's many years ago, and even today there are many people who still don't get support in the United States and in the world. So yeah.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
And I know we're wrapping up, but I think it's also very important to say that you all are debt free.
okay. that's-
Oh, we are.
Yes.
So there is a goal that's attainable.
And for years. So yeah, Nikki is saying here, thanks for adding that, and that's one thing we also spoke about when we first met, was the
Yeah.
concept of being debt free and just being and thinking about lots of times women we don't even think about like concept of being financially successful and stable and so on. Some people work to just pay the bills, work and all these different you know, sometimes people feel they should, you know, I think men do a little better with sharing about money and, you know, success and so on. Women sometimes we want to be a bit more humble, like, you know, I didn't make a lot of money or I didn't spend, you know, like try to be humble with it and, you know, so that's something, thanks for adding that.
Yeah, we
Jane.
like to share, you know, our experiences and how we did that because we had a whole plan. It took us 7 years.
7
We worked
years.
hard,
Mm.
you know, and it was a whole process we went through to,
Yeah, and stuck with the
Get out
plan,
of
and
debt.
then we got out of debt.
and then, you know,
in 7 years.
people can do it.
Wow.
So
That's also very inspiring. So yeah, in 7 years they got out of debt. And you did this about what, 10 years ago?
Well, no,
we
this
got
was,
out of debt in 1994.
1994.
We started in 1987. We
Okay.
started working the plan. This is when we had the chiropractic practice.
Okay, so there's hope for people who feel. I know that feeling where you feel like I'll never get out of debt. To like just focus and work on it, and to make sure you don't get back in debt because you could do all that You know, it's like losing. I
Yeah,
lost 20
sure.
pounds, and then 2 years
Yeah.
later I gained back the 20 pounds. So it's like make sure you
Yeah.
don't gain back that. So that's good.
Uh-huh.
Congratulations. So we're gonna wrap up. Anything else you want to add before we go? Okay, so thank you
I
so
think we're good.
yeah, thank you so much to both of you for joining. I know Nikki put the link for your Black Women Rise coming up
Good.
in March. It's March 17th, right?
Right.
And
And
then
tomorrow is the preview.
tomorrow's a
here
preview is it at the Pride Center?
at the Pride
At the
Center.
Pride Center in Fort Lauderdale.
7:30 tomorrow night.
7:30 tomorrow night. And if anybody wants to learn more about the organization that they're now serving the board, right? Not the board, advisory.
Advisory
It's
Advisory.
WIN. And if you want to see a unique performance, March 10th, Dark Woman, we'll see what Jane and potentially Ari does. But
Potentially,
yeah,
yeah.
potentially. Yeah, thank you. So thanks so much for sharing yourselves with us today. I will ask people who are watching to share this video. And so great talking to you both.
Same
Thank you.
here.
Okay.
Thanks.
It's been a pleasure.
Okay. Bye. Nope.